The story begins in Yorkshire, England in 1996, where we meet two close childhood friends, Claire and Danny. Like many kids their age, they often play together and sometimes get into harmless mischief. But one day, their innocent fun takes a dark turn. Claire comes up with a plan to steal something from a local store. To distract the shopkeeper, she sends Danny inside first, pretending that he's lost. Though Danny is nervous, Claire encourages him to be brave. While Danny talks to the store owner, Claire quickly sneaks in, grabs a few items, and runs out unnoticed. But when she goes back to get Danny, the storekeeper calmly tells her his father came to pick him up. Instantly, Claire realizes something is terribly wrong. She knew that man wasn't Danny's father. In fact, she'd just witnessed something terrifying. And worse, Danny never came back. Soon, it becomes clear that Danny was kidnapped. Although the kidnapper was eventually caught and sentenced, no one ever found out what really happened to Danny or where his body was. The mystery remained unsolved. The story jumps forward 25 years. Claire is now an adult and has returned to her hometown. Though many years have passed, the memory of Danny's disappearance still haunts her. During her visit, she runs into Bill, Danny's father, at a small restaurant. Bill has clearly changed. He's a broken man, emotionally distant, and still grieving the loss of his son. Claire, now a podcaster, listens as Bill shares his belief. He thinks Danny might still be alive. Bill asks Claire if she would talk about Danny's case on her podcast, hoping it might bring attention or help uncover new clues. But Claire explains that her podcast is small and won't reach enough people to make a difference. Still, Bill isn't ready to give up. He says he's willing to try anything, even if it sounds far-fetched. Claire agrees to help, not because she believes they'll find Danny, but because she still carries deep guilt. After all, it was her idea that led Danny into the shop that day. She feels responsible. Bill believes Danny's remains might be buried in the moors, a large, wild, and desolate area full of tall grass and uneven land. He somehow received information that pointed him there, though the source of that knowledge isn't yet clear. The next day, Bill introduces Claire to Liz, a local ranger who knows the moorland well. Together, they head out into the remote countryside. Claire feels uneasy. The moors are cold, empty, and eerily silent. With no one else around for miles, her childhood fears return. What if something happens to her too? Throughout the film, interviews with townspeople are shown. We hear from a retired detective named Thornley, who worked on the original case. He explains how, at the time, children were disappearing one after another. No bodies were found. People were scared to even send their kids to school. Everyone was afraid of a predator hiding in plain sight, someone who took their children without leaving a trace. Back at home, Bill shows Claire a hand-drawn map with several marked spots, areas where he's already searched for Danny's remains, including new places he still wants to explore. One specific location stands out. Claire becomes curious and decides to meet Detective Thornley herself, hoping he can help make sense of Bill's search. During their conversation, Thornley seems confused. He tells Claire that the moor Bill is searching was already thoroughly investigated back when Danny went missing. Nothing was ever found. So why is Bill focusing on that specific area again? Thornley lays out several overlapping maps, revealing that the moor is much larger than it looks. Bill has only been searching a small section of it. Claire returns home still puzzled. That's when she sees someone visiting Bill, a man named Alex, holding a pendulum. Claire watches as Alex lets the pendulum swing over the map. It begins to move, slowly coming to a stop over a particular location. Bill immediately marks it. When Claire asks Bill who Alex is, he says only that Alex is a friend helping out. Claire doesn't push for more answers, but it's clear something unusual is going on, and Claire begins to feel uneasy. The next day, Bill, Claire, and Liz set off into the moors again. This time, Claire brings a GoPro camera to record everything. As they travel deeper, the atmosphere grows more unsettling. Claire notices two sheep staring directly at them, unmoving, an unnatural behavior that leaves her unsettled. The three of them had been searching in the moor for a long time. Then, Claire felt something and started walking in a direction. She reached a spot where she found a child's shoe. Bill and Liz also arrived while looking for her. Bill quickly put the shoe into a plastic bag to keep it safe. But on their way back, Claire starts to panic. The tension, the isolation, and the memories from her childhood are overwhelming. She wants to leave immediately. Thankfully, they make it back to the road safely. Later, we see Bill at the police station, trying to reopen Danny's case. He presents the shoe, hoping it will be considered new evidence, but the officer tells him it's not enough. There's no DNA, no proof the shoe was recently uncovered, and no reason to reopen the investigation. Bill is devastated. Meanwhile, the film shows archived interviews from years ago. Locals recall the time the kidnapper was caught. While the community was relieved, there was still fear and confusion. What had he done with the children? Why were no bodies ever recovered? Police never released the man's photo, and though he was sentenced to 25 years, some suspected the investigation was flawed. Maybe that's why he didn't receive the death penalty. Later, Claire returns to the moors with Bill and Liz. While they're exploring, Bill and Liz suddenly vanish. Claire hears a faint sound and turns around, and finds herself standing in the alley behind the same shop where Danny disappeared years ago. Everything looks just as it did in 1996. She sees a child that looks like Danny standing alone. Suddenly, a dark figure approaches him. Claire realizes this must be the kidnapper. Terrified and crying, she runs toward the boy to save him, but then wakes up. It was just a dream. A few days pass. With no help from the police, Bill decides to return to the moors, determined to keep searching. But this time, before heading out, he meets with Alex again, hoping he can use his abilities to pinpoint exactly where to search next. Alex explains that he has already helped as much as he can. From Claire's perspective, the whole thing starts to feel like a scam. She wonders if Alex is just pretending to help in order to take advantage of Bill. But then, Claire is surprised to learn that Alex isn't charging anything at all. Whatever he's doing, it's not for money. During a tense conversation between Bill and Alex, a new truth comes out. Alex's daughter, Eleanor, is even more powerful than he is. She has stronger psychic abilities, but using them can severely weaken her. That's why Alex has kept her away from all this. But Bill has already gone around Alex. He has called Eleanor without his knowledge, and she's agreed to help. Alex is upset, but Eleanor is firm. She believes she can assist and wants to try, even if it puts her at risk. Soon after, Eleanor arrives with her pendulum. At first, nothing happens, but when she touches Danny's old shoe, the pendulum suddenly starts spinning on its own, then comes to a stop at a specific location on the map. Bill marks it immediately. It's now their new target. But the process drains Eleanor. She looks pale and exhausted. Her father, concerned, tells her to start counting numbers out loud, a method that keeps her grounded in her own mind and prevents her from getting lost in the spiritual realm. It's clear these powers come with a cost. Eleanor had warned earlier, whenever she uses her psychic abilities, her mind connects to another realm, a place that's hard to escape. If she stays there too long, it can become dangerous. That's why Alex never wanted her involved. He tells her not to return to the moors, but Eleanor insists. She believes helping Bill is the right thing to do. The next day, the group, Bill, Claire, Eleanor, Alex, and Liz, sets out again. On the way, Eleanor tells Claire that she can feel it in her bones. The Moor doesn't want them there. As they approach the location, Eleanor suddenly hears a voice. A frightened little girl crying out. No one else hears it. Eleanor tries to calm the voice, asking who she is. The girl replies, I don't remember anything, just darkness. Moved by this, Eleanor becomes emotional, but moments later, the voice fades into silence. Suddenly, Eleanor breaks into a run. The others follow her until she suddenly falls into a hidden pit. Alex rushes to her side. Eleanor is unconscious, still trapped in that other world. Alex urges her to count numbers out loud, grounding her back into reality. Slowly, she regains consciousness. Meanwhile, Bill starts digging near the pit, feeling strongly that there's something there. As he digs, the wall of earth nearby collapses, revealing something horrifying. A child's skeleton. buried in the dirt. Everyone is shaken. It's not Danny, but another missing child, a tragic confirmation that the Moor hides more than just one secret. Soon after, the police return to the site. Old cold cases are reopened, and a formal investigation begins into the buried bodies hidden in this cursed land. 4 weeks have passed since the discovery of the buried girl in the moor, yet Claire is still haunted by nightmares. The horror hasn't left her, and neither has the guilt. During a quiet conversation with Eleanor, she learns something disturbing. The girl's body they found was never reported missing. It wasn't even from that area. Someone had moved her body and buried it in the moors. The implications are chilling. Meanwhile, Bill is growing exhausted. He has been searching for decades, and though the police are now officially involved, there's still no sign of Danny. Despite everything, Bill clings to a single belief: Danny's body is still out there, buried somewhere in the moor. All he wants now is to find his son, just to see him one last time and finally be at peace. One day, Bill and Claire visit Eleanor again, desperate for answers. Eleanor reveals something personal. A spirit named Thomas has always watched over her. He protects her when she's in danger and has guided her through many spiritual journeys, but she cannot speak to him directly. To do that, she must allow Thomas to temporarily take control of her body. Bill tells her that he wants to know if Danny is buried among the same bodies in the moor. His gut tells him that all the children were taken to the same place. If they can find where the others were hidden, they can find Danny too. Eleanor agrees. She prepares herself and begins the ritual to connect with Thomas. Soon, Thomas speaks through Eleanor. His tone is calm but heavy. When Alex asks about the missing children, Thomas explains, "The children have gone silent. They are trapped in darkness now." Bill asks the question he's been holding back for years: is Danny there too? Before Thomas can give a clear answer, something strange happens. The map on the table suddenly becomes wet, as if soaked by an unseen force. The pendulum spins wildly before stopping at a single location. That's where they must go. Without hesitation, Bill decides to head out immediately. Alex warns him it might not be safe, but this time, Claire speaks up too. She says she wants to go. "Danny needs us," she tells them. Once again, the group sets out. Bill, Claire, Eleanor, Alex, and Liz. This time, their journey takes them deeper into the moor than ever before, and they know they'll need to spend the night there. As they walk, they pass huge ancient stones, each carved with strange markings. According to local belief, these symbols date back to the Stone Age, a sign that rituals had been taking place here long before any of them were born. Soon, heavy rain begins to fall, forcing the group to set up tents and take shelter. As they wait inside, Eleanor warns the group, "Thomas doesn't want to be here. There's something dark in this place. It doesn't want us to stay." Tension builds. A small argument breaks out between Bill and Alex, and Bill storms out of the tent in frustration. Liz follows him, trying to calm him down, but out in the darkness, Bill spots something, a figure moving in the distance. He takes off running, chasing it into the night, but ends up sinking into a muddy bog. Liz pulls him out, but by the time they recover, they've wandered far from camp. Back in the tent, Alex steps outside for a moment, leaving Claire alone with Eleanor. As they wait, Eleanor suddenly asks Claire a personal question. "Bill, he's so rough. How can you stand by him?" Claire pauses before answering. She explains that Bill wasn't always this way. The day Danny was taken, Bill had been yelling at the police, at neighbors, at everyone. Claire had been terrified of him, but when he saw her, he didn't shout. He simply hugged her and asked, "Are you okay?" That moment changed everything. It made Claire realize that Danny's disappearance wasn't her fault. Bill never blamed her. He had just broken. Before they can continue, Alex returns to the tent, but something is off. His behavior is strange, his expression vacant. Suddenly, Eleanor screams, "Thomas is gone! A doorway has opened!" Her voice echoes in panic. Bill and Liz hear the scream and rush back, but what they find terrifies them. Eleanor is no longer herself. She's possessed. Eleanor's eyes are blank. Her voice changes. Her Her body shakes violently. She can't bring herself back. She pleads with Alex to help, but Alex just stares at her. Then, blood begins to drip from Eleanor's eyes. Whatever spirit or force has taken over her, it's not Thomas. It's something far more violent, far more ancient. The others can only watch in terror as Eleanor fights against the entity inside her, unable to break free. As Eleanor convulses on the ground, her body overtaken by a violent force, Liz grabs her phone to call for help. But instead of reaching emergency services, a strange voice answers on the other end, one that calmly says, "No one can help you now." Everyone freezes in terror. Eleanor screams, her body writhing in pain as if something inside her is tearing her apart. Unnatural voices echo from deep within her, overlapping and whispering things no one can understand. And then, Bill hears something chilling, the voice of Danny calling to him. Panicked and confused, the group runs out of the tent, the moorland around them shifting and breathing, as if the earth itself is alive. Moments later, Eleanor collapses unconscious. Suddenly, Alex appears at the edge of the camp, asking what happened to Eleanor. But the group stares at him in horror, because Alex had already been inside with them. Realization dawns. This isn't Alex. This is something else. Before they can act, strange sheep-like creatures appear, their eyes missing, their presence otherworldly. The creatures surround them, forming a silent circle. The group is frozen in fear. At dawn, a rescue team arrives and helps lead everyone back to safety. As they leave the moor, Liz notices something bizarre. The sheep-like creatures from the night before are now petrified, turned to stone. Later, at the hospital, Eleanor is treated, but remains deeply shaken. Alex, her father, stays by her side, devastated. Meanwhile, Claire receives a call from Detective Thornley, warning her never to return to the moor again. "Something terrible happened there," he says, "and now the kidnapper has gone missing from prison." Claire is horrified. Bill, however, has become unreachable, obsessed, unstable, and more determined than ever. Claire tries to stop him, but nothing she says works. The next day, she leaves him and returns home, finally recording an episode on her podcast to tell the whole story, everything she's seen and survived. In the film's final moments, we're shown GoPro footage from Claire's camera, recorded during their last night on the moor. It reveals the horrifying truth. That night, when the others were asleep, Bill forcibly took Claire back out to the ritual site, led by a voice only he could hear. The voice promised him, "If you give Claire as a sacrifice, your son will be returned to you. She was meant to disappear that night, not Danny." Claire begs him to stop. Tears stream down her face as she pleads, "Your son is gone. This won't bring him back." But Bill refuses to listen. He believes this is the only way. In the footage, we see Bill throw Claire into the bog, the same cursed swamp where countless children were buried. As she sinks, ghostly hands rise from beneath, pulling her down. Her screams are swallowed by the earth. And then, in the final image, we see a boy walk out of the darkness toward Bill. It's Danny, or at least, it looks like him. Bill believes the dark force buried in the moor demands a cost. He sacrifices Claire in a final, desperate ritual, possibly opening a path for Danny's return. But whether that return is real or delusional remains deeply ambiguous. The film leaves us questioning if the supernatural is real, or if it's all the tragic outcome of a grieving father's broken mind.